Well, I guess I have some explaining to do. So now that I've actually put my my 2002 V70 and my 2014 S60 into storage for the winter, I've been looking for a winter beater. And I have a soft spot for these last steel body XJs. I've owned a couple of XJ6s in the past, and I figured, why not try and find an XJ8? And that's where this car comes in. This is a 2003 Jaguar XJ8 4-liter Sovereign specification that was actually found by my dad. My dad daily drives a 2005 XJR of the next body style after this, the one that went to all aluminum. And when he was in for service, there was this car sitting out front, covered in dirt, a little bit neglected, and it had a very appealing asking price, only $1,000, which I believe might make this the cheapest XJ8 in the country. But there was a reason it was $1,000. Currently the car is located in the lovely and sunny state of California. Currently it is December and it is 75 degrees out. However, that presents a problem. All cars built after 1975 are required to pass smog, and this, being a 2003, obviously still has to pass smog. However, it did not pass smog, and it recently had about $2,400 of maintenance into it. It has all new timing chains, all new catalytic converters, O2 sensors, along with a myriad of other little things here and there, but it still will not pass smog. However, the car drives pretty much okay. There are a couple of issues which we'll go over when we drive it, but there are no check engine lights and it drives pretty darn well, so I figured for $1,000, why not? However, also being in California presents another issue. Since this car is in California, and I have actually now registered it in Iowa because Iowa doesn't require smog, I need to get it to my home in Iowa. Originally, I was planning on road tripping this car and making the best road trip video ever of a $1,000 Jag. However, there are a few more issues with it that are making me a little bit concerned about driving it that distance, which I'll go over when we go for a drive. But with that, I guess we'll give you a walk-around video of some of the other issues and foibles that this Jaguar has picked up over the past 17 years of its existence. So overall, the car actually presents incredibly well. The paint is very shiny, and actually speaking with the long-term previous owner, it was garaged all the time, washed and waxed, and kept fairly in pretty good shape. However, if you start looking at it a little bit closely is when stuff starts to fall apart. There's lots of rub marks and corners here, dings, dents, scratches, and in fact, all the way down the passenger side of the car is littered with dents. I'm not positive they're showing up well on camera, but if I do get a better video, you'll see that just the entire passenger side is riddled with tons of little dings, dents, and scratches. As we move to the back, you'll be able to notice some other issues we've got here, some more rubbing, along with an entirely loose rear bumper. In fact, I don't think there are any bolts holding it on. Nothing really too much to complain about. The car is only $1,000 and it runs and drives amazingly, but just some little things that make me a little bit more concerned than usual. And also with a Jag of this era, there are bound to be electrical issues, and you'd be right. While the earlier X300 6-cylinder models of these cars are incredibly reliable, these 308s, as they're called, have a few more issues, and this one is no exception. For example, one of the really fun issues is that the reverse lights will not work unless the brake lights are on. The turn signals, while they flash perfectly normally and all the bulbs work, inside it indicates that they are burnt out. And also, very oddly with these cars, they are very specific about the code readers that they use. This car, despite showing no check engine lights, is actually currently throwing a code for the passenger side O2 sensor downstream from it. However, I can't clear it from the code reader. At first, I thought there was something wrong with the car, and in fact, there is some kind of odd wiring, which I'll get into. But really, after doing some more research on Jaguar forums, they are very particular about the computers used to clear codes in these cars. You need to have a very specific computer to do it. So I'm a little concerned about that, but since it's running and driving, and again, it was only $1,000, I can't really complain. Now though, let's take a look at the engine that powers this wonderful beast. Under that front hinged bonnet, currently held up by the incredibly rare Jaguar accessory sawn-off broom handle, is the 4-liter AJ V8. As far as engines go from Jaguar, this is not the crown jewel. Very early on in the 308's production run, they had tons of issues. In early 98 cars, they had Nikasil liners that could wear away, and for much of the production run they had plastic timing chain tensioners where if they failed they would shatter and cause valves to crash into pistons, and generally a bad time. However, this one's kind of an exception. This is a very late model X308, an 03 model year, and it's actually already had the timing chain service done. So it has all new timing chains with the upgraded metal tensioners, along with the aluminum upgraded thermostat housing. So as far as reliability with the engine goes, it should technically be fine. There are some other issues causing drivability issues anyway. First among which is the intake. These XJs typically have a resonator here. However, that broke off very shortly after I took delivery of the car a couple days ago. I frankly don't have the time to buy a brand new one, so I ran down to the junkyard, and every XJ8 had that resonator broken off. So this XK manifold with a little bit of a sketchy JB weld seems to be working fine, and we're having no intake leaks there. But yeah, for the most part, the engine runs and drives very smooth, but I am concerned about that O2 sensor, or at least that code for that O2 sensor. Currently, the car is actually running rather rich on the passenger side, and I'm not exactly sure what's causing that. To be fair, I haven't put it up in the air yet, so we'll see how that goes. But before we put it up in the air, let's take it for a drive. Take it with you at all times. All right, let's bring it for a drive. Still seems to be working okay. Well, first, before I get into the issues that this particular old cat has, I'd like to explain why I love these old XJs so much. Firstly, I just love the way they look. In fact, I believe they tie for second place for the most beautiful sedan ever made. First of which being the original Citroën DS, and I believe this actually ties with the E38 BMW 7 Series in terms of its just sheer styling. Therein though lies a really interesting issue. Because of this car's actually really good styling, it has very bizarre proportions. It's actually in length about as long as a current Chevy Tahoe. And despite that, the interior is an entirely different story. It's really a case of the incredible shrinking car in here. Though this is an improved interior over the X300, at least in terms of space management, it's really small. I'm amazed for a car this size that it's absolutely cramped in here. I'm 5'10", so I'm no large human being, and I have a fairly average sized torso and legs, but despite that, there's almost no headroom. Behind my driving position, my knees are touching the back of the front seat, and the rear headrests, which I assume are to be there for comfort, are actually digging into the base of my shoulder blade while my head touches the underside of the roof. But now on to the driving experience of this XJ, and that's where it's really rather surprising. It's no doubt a luxury car. In fact, I think this might actually have the softest suspension amongst any car I've ever driven. I look at potholes and I see them, I know I've hit them, but I don't feel it at all. It's so incredibly soft. Despite being so soft, it actually handles surprisingly well. You can tell that this chassis was designed for sort of bobbing and weaving British country roads, and It's designed to soak up the bumps, but not be entirely unsettling when you go through corners as well. In the end, it's really a car about the size of a 7 Series. It drives about the size of a 5 Series and has the interior room from a 3 Series. It's such a stupid combination. Goes to redline, evidently. But from there, we have to get into these cars' issues, and for $1,000, it's gonna have them. I explained some of those electrical issues before. Another one that's actually that I forgot about that cropped up in the past couple hours is I disconnected the battery to see if I could do a hard reset of the ECU to see if I could clear that code. Again, not the case. But doing that, the car has entered valet mode, which doesn't affect the drivability at all, but it does affect access to the trunk and the glove box. The glove box, luckily, isn't locked, but I cannot open the trunk with the interior button, and it just says valet mode and makes weird noises. And from there, there's some interesting drivability issues as well. It is running rich on the passenger side bank, which I want to look at first before I really drive it much further. I don't want to wash out any cylinders unless they've already been washed out. And again, I just want to make it run and drive as good as possible to serve as my winter beater. Sitting here idling, there was another issue that's actually shown up since I've taken delivery of it. I have found out that it seems that the drive shaft carrier bearing has failed, which causes a very interesting vibration under acceleration from about 30 to 50 miles an hour, which isn't great as well. And another issue that I forgot to mention, in the ECU, I found people have definitely been in there previously, and it looks like at one point, 2 of the wires to one of the connectors had failed, and it was rather poorly repaired with some alligator clips. So really, before anything, that's gonna need to be soldered, which I'm gonna do later, and then just go from there. However, luckily though, in case that I am not able to drive it on this epic road trip that I originally planned, I looked into shipping, and currently right now, due to COVID, shipping companies are offering rather attractive rates in terms of shipping prices. It seems pretty attractive considering the current condition of the car and my intended use for it, frankly. It's incredible how much car for the money this is. For $1,000, there's no misfires, it's running beautifully, the air conditioning works, it has a fabulous stereo, it smells fine, it hasn't been smoked in, there isn't junk everywhere, all of the windows work, the sunroof works even, which is incredible. But really, for the money, it's hard to complain. But yeah, as you can see, for $1,000, it's one hell of a deal, but it's not without its problems. And I wish I could say I'm not worried, but it's really not the case. However, I do think this will have a positive outcome. I hope you join me in a couple of the videos that I will do following this. I'm actually gonna go ahead and put it up on the lift later, and see everything that's wrong with it, and put together a list of what I need to do in order to make this a safe and comfy daily driver again, and get that running issue sorted out. So until next time. That's a very badly modified Hyundai Genesis. This is not a good part of town, clearly.